Howdy, and welcome to Portrait of a Ghost by ENDYSIS. Down the link in the description if you'd like to play. The game's available where you can name your own price, so if you can name your own price and support the developer, I would really appreciate that. So I've seen a couple of ENDYSIS's games get linked hither and thither on Twitter, which I didn't think about that until I was like, yeah, hither, dither, and then, I don't give a shit what it's called. It's fine. So I was like, oh, these games looks interesting. It seems like they do a lot of horror visual novels. And initially, I had planned to play their game, It Paints Me, for Let's Play a Wing. Because I was like, this looks cool. It's like their most recent game. I went to go download it, check their itch page, and this came out yesterday for me. So I was like, I should probably play the new one. Also, it involves ghosts. I think the other one involved ghosts as well. But I'm a sucker for ghosts. So I was like, yeah, let's find out about the portrait of this ghost. So let's do it. There's a story write-up on itch.io. I don't know if that will be part of the game or if this is just to entice us, but we should probably look over it and get a little context just before we begin. Arthur Hope is a spirit photographer, able to capture images of the departed with his camera. At least, that's what he'd like you to believe. After all, any price is worth paying to see a loved one's face again, isn't it? Unfortunately for him, ghosts just might be more real than he realized. There are content warnings right below it. Themes of death, grief, body horror, mentions of being burned and buried alive, jump scares, and potentially unsettling images. So prepare to be a little unsettled. I can't. I was failing at clicking. That's a good start. Part 1: How to profit off grief. Always a good place to start. Right this way, madame. Please make yourself comfortable. But why don't we have a chat before we begin? Tell me more about your dear husband. There. Yes, bless his poor soul. In a modest sitting room with curtains open to the afternoon sun, the widow perched like a shadow in the arms of a plush velvet seat. For some reason, I thought that said scar for a second. I should clear my eyes. My eyes I'm 31 years old. The entire body's failing. With her veil pulled back from her head, delicate fingers clutching the handkerchief she brought repeatedly to her large, sorrowful eyes, she made the perfect image. A picture perfect of the poor grieving soul that the gentleman sitting before her so often received. A poet might have described her glistening eyes as deep pools of wretched misery, or oceans that had no end. But Arthur Hope was no poet. His only observation about the woman's face was his hope that she wouldn't burst into tears during the sitting. Arthur made his living off of grief, of course, but dealing with the grieving was a rather tiresome facet of his profession. I guess, of his profession. As the widow went on about her poor deceased lover, his gentle and charitable nature, and so on, he carefully prodded her, now and again, about the man's general... the man's general features, forming an image in his head of how best to shape his next creation. A young man with a lion's mane of long hair, average height, deep-set eyes. I'm sure I have a plate matching that description somewhere. It's a good thing I can pull off a wig. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I have a real picture to take first. There are so many things I wish I had said to him. Oh, he told me not to worry, but I'm sure he was a wonderful man, madame. I'm so sorry once again for your loss. You know, I always tell my clients I can never guarantee when my camera might capture a spirit. But today, I feel almost certain he might be in the room with us. Why don't we take your picture now and see for ourselves? Oh, yes, of course. Make yourself at home. I'll be right back. Center our subject within the frame. All right. I probably doesn't mean my mouse cursor. I don't think you can see my mouse cursor. I probably should have changed that before the recording. Okay, so it's coming in upside down. I believe that's just how old cameras worked, where it would take like a reverse image. I don't know. I remember reading, well, not reading. I think I read a little into it, but definitely have listened to some podcasts about ye old spirit photography and heard a bit about old cameras. So I think this is just an old camera thing of taking the picture upside down, I believe. I also don't know what to do now. I have to click on it and move into the center frame, which I assume is like that. Is that not the... Oh, she's sitting over... I was pointing at my chair. I was like, the chair looks empty, but I'll sure get... I didn't realize I could go that far over. That was my bad. That should leave enough space to add a spirit. We're ready to begin. Please stay still until I tell you when the exposure is complete. All right. If you're there, my darling, please show yourself, please. Arthur Hope hadn't always been a charlatan. Once he had been Artie, a shy and painfully honest boy with angelic blue eyes and a limitless imagination. He spent every chance he could in his uncle's library, losing himself in stories of monsters and ghosts. They were never so frightening as the real world around him, he could honestly say. Honesty, however, would rarely turn out to help him. Honesty had not stopped his uncle's cane nor his withering looks. It did not protect him from the schoolmates' vicious pranks, nor impress the teachers. Gray-hollowed men with their thinning hair and thick spectacles at the various boarding schools that always inevitably sent him back home. It hadn't always been his fault. One had simply closed due to an unfortunate scarlet fever outbreak. Oh, you hate when well, I was gonna say it's always it is well. You know, you get what I'm laying down. No, it was a liar's world, and by the time Arthur Hope first found himself behind the lens of his late uncle's sliding box camera, he'd built well, if not a kingdom of lies, then at least a barony. At least shy of 30, his schemes had brought him an unsteady income and the regard of a handful of influential friends, few of whom knew his background or how much he had truly borrowed from them. Arthur's uncle had taken up photography late in his life, and having no family save for his troublesome nephew, had left the young man the aging house he had turned into a studio along with a small fortune in equipment after his slow and drawn-out death. Arthur had little interest in the profession beforehand, but even he could not resist the allure of a burgeoning technology that was so much like magic. Capturing light through a mechanical eye, perfectly preserving an image of the world, a single moment in time. It was something just like the tales of wonder he grew up on. The ability to capture his own likeness was, of course, its own draw. He had a fair face, he was not shy to admit, and would like a reminder of it should he ever have the misfortune of living a long life. Oh, you hate when you're blessed with that one. Carefully, he slid the plate holder out of the camera's wooden frame. A pile of discarded glass plates and blurry albumin prints sat on the table beside him, the fruits of his earlier attempts. I have a good feeling about this one. Let's get you to the darkroom, shall we? It was as the print developed in the early afternoon sun. I guess that just means it came out well. That Arthur Hope saw his uncle's ghost in the frame beside him. Or maybe in the early afternoon. Because you want it in the dark, it means that, oh, this came out bad in the early... I figured it out. Also, that Arthur's ghost... Arthur's uncle's ghost is in the frame beside him. Spirit caught on camera. Images... Ghost I almost said photograph. Spirit photography. Okay. Are we able to move this picture around? Well, I mean, it's already printed, so I would assume not. But what are we... Oh, I need to move this around so we can learn. Yeah, we got our spirit caught on camera. Photographer captures ghostly images. I almost said photograph. Man, photographs. Difficult word to say, I guess. Ghost photographs shock world. Spirit photographer, the man behind the camera. It was only a sleepless night of waiting for a spirit to accost him. Or only after a sleepless night of waiting for a spirit to accost him, I think I said that weirdly, then fruitlessly rifling through his uncle's equipment, that he realized he made a simple and perfectly ordinary mistake. Photograph plates were meant to be cleaned very, very thoroughly to remove any imprint left behind by a previous negative. Arthur, an amateur, had not done so. Thus, a trace of his uncle's self-portraits remained on the glass plate he had used for his own. But the fact the image had lined up so perfectly was nothing short of a miracle. A miracle that sparked the idea for a brand new, lucrative story in Arthur's mind. It's him. Oh, my darling. I knew you were with me all this time. Thank you, Mr. Hope. Thank you. He looks so peaceful. I don't know what to say. Overwhelmed, the widow began to sob. Arthur patted her back gently. I can earn more if I make them come back for a sitting or two before I give them a spirit, but I felt sorry for her this time. I'm growing soft. Not at all, madame. It brings me joy to know you have a guardian spirit watching you even beyond the grave. I was going to say watching over, because normally the guardian spirit watching over, but, that was me just assuming instead of using my brain and reading. I can be at peace now. Thanks to you. Please take this. She handed him a stack of crisp banknotes, far more than they had agreed upon sum. I can't possibly, madame. I insist. Not a bad use of time after all. Part 2. Portrait of a Girl. So, we're doing business on the up and up. We're making fat stacks. It's all coming up hope. Late in the evening, a knock came at Arthur's door. The widow had been his last appointment of the day, but it was all too common for unwanted visitors to arrive long after closing. Sometimes it was the press, sometimes an angry skeptic. Skeptic? Oh, for some reason I thought skeptic had a K, like S-K-E-P-T-I-C. Skeptic. Like, that's how I would spell it. That could just be me being incorrect or regional differences in spelling. But knowing me, it's probably, I don't think I've ever seen the word. I can't think of seeing the word skeptic spelled out, so I have no clue. Sometimes a wretched grieving soul who would beg for his charity. Arthur. I ignored it, or we headed for the door. Well, we should probably go check it out. Can't just leave someone out there, especially if they're saying our name, unless that's us thinking to ourselves like, oh, Arthur, what are you going to do? Arthur crept down the staircase of the entryway of the old house and quietly approached the door. He carefully looked through the spy hole. Stood there in the rain was a girl. She didn't seem to have an umbrella or a raincoat. It was a miracle she wasn't drenched thoroughly. Perhaps she had arrived by carriage. But Arthur hadn't heard one approaching, and none were stopped in the street. Tap, tap, tap. Once more, she tapped it on his door. Arthur wondered how long she'd been standing there. He decided to ignore her. I mean, if we really wanted to get in character, we would have probably just ignored the door like, I did my job for the day, whatever. Whatever. I don't need to help this lady. But also, you could think of it in the other way of, oh, a customer, you say. But we're going to open the door. With some hesitation, Arthur swung the door open. Can I help you, miss? I just assumed that she was going to look like her other sprite. Yeah, I guess sprite is still the right word. Her other artwork. It's just like, oh, that's just straight up like a ghost. We're getting our ass haunted. We're doing some bad stuff. In the gloom of the rain, lit with only the light coming from the hall, the young woman was surprisingly lovely. She looked about 20, with a face so fair she could have been a porcelain doll, if not for the deep brown eyes that stared so intensely from behind her dark lashes. Yes, there's never been a porcelain doll with deep brown eyes that stare way too hard at you. Dolls famously, light stares, very polite company. Locks of her chestnut hair spilled from a bonnet trimmed with wide ribbons and silk roses. Her gown was made of a rich green satin and fine white lace and looked expensive, yet at least a decade out of style. The girl clearly came from money, but it seemed that she, or her guardians, had dated tastes. Are you the photographer? Oh my god, the word photographer. I started thinking about photograph again and I psyched myself out. The word photograph is haunting me personally. Oh no. Her voice was soft, but did not betray any nervousness. Her brown eyes stared right at him, almost, Arthur felt, straight through him. Well, yes, but my friends call me Arthur. I don't wish to become your friend, sir. But if you are indeed who you say you are, then I require your services. Making demands straight away, eh? Definitely a rich lass, perhaps even highborn. In that case, best to hear her out. What can I do for you, miss? You're the photographer, are you not? See, now that it's italicized, I got it. You gotta put that stank on it. I need you to take my picture. I'd be happy to make an appointment with you, miss, but I can't guarantee a spirit will appear. I don't want anyone or anything else in the photograph. I almost said photograph. Well, it was going to be that bad, but I was going to hit the H wrong that time. I just need my picture taken. A likely story. She wouldn't be the first to ask for a simple, ordinary sitting while secretly hoping for a ghost to appear. Well, I'm fully booked for quite a while, but I'd be happy to arrange a sitting. You have no one with you now, so why can't you take my picture? Miss, it's late. Lamplight makes for a poor image, and I'd have to wait until daylight to make the print in any case. Might I also emphasize how inappropriate it is for a young lady to call upon a man uninvited after dark? Please. One picture. It's all I ask. Please. I've been waiting so very long. I should... We'll hear her out, obviously. If she's from money, we wanted the money. That's what we do. Can I at least ask why you need a photograph so badly? There's somebody I must send my picture to. Somebody who I haven't seen in a very long time, who needs to see how I look now. How I've changed. There are plenty of other studios that could accommodate you. None of them would open their doors to me. None of them are like you. There truly is nobody in this world like you, sir. Well, if there's anything I can't resist, besides a large purse, it's flattery. Let's admit it, that sweet face isn't an easy one to refuse. Being around sobbing fools all day really has turned me soft. Fine, you've convinced me. Please step this way, miss. Edith. Edith Harper. Can I offer you any tea? None, thank you. Please, can we hurry? As you wish. That's great, because I gotta get to bed. It's late. I don't... Oh, I'm pointing at the darkness. Right. Got to drag. I just wasn't sure where I was. And we can assume that this is her. Do I not got her right in the frame? Do I got to click off? Am I looking at the wrong spot? Because I assume this is she. Maybe I need her a little bit. Oh, cause yeah, she doesn't want a spirit, so maybe get her like more center frame than I'm doing. You know, I played a lot of Pokemon Snap as a kid, but I guess I wasn't very good at it. Doesn't seem to be helping me here. Cause like that looks good to me, but maybe just a little bit. Because it looks like she's standing at a bit of a angle, but it is dark. So, where's her center of mass is the problem I'm having. Like, you know, earlier we wanted some... I'm still waving around my mouse like you can see it. You know, we wanted some upper space, but... Where's the perfect spot for this picture? I think the problem is I need to stop once I'm dragging, and maybe I'm just continuing to drag. Oh, nope, that's the save button. I was like, right click. It's been a while since I've done a REM pod. Well, actually, it hasn't been that long. I just didn't right click, I guess, in that one. Now that I think about it. Yeah, I'm having a bit of issue with this. Give me a second. Oh, okay. There we go. Okay. I needed it. I think it centered to where it liked, so I'm not sure if I hit a timer, but I kind of just dragged it off to the right. I mean, I wanted to say left because it is her left, but you know, I dragged it to the right. So I guess we just needed. She might be standing at a bit of a curve, like I was saying, perhaps. Well, no, we'll need more candles. I can't get an image like this. Technology is awfully inconvenient. Well, you could have come by during daylight, you know. Okay, now we've lit up. We can... Wait, where'd she go? Are you ready yet? Yeah, we can begin now. Ugh, what's come over me? First I let some arrogant, ill-mannered girl walk over me like a carpet. Now I'm seeing things? Must be all that lead in the water or whatever we had back then. 59, 60, done. You can move now, miss. That's it? Good. I'll go prepare the plate now. Again, you'll have to come back tomorrow for the print, Miss Harper. I open at... I'll visit you at the same time tomorrow evening. Good night, sir. Wait. Arthur stopped her, concerned. No, he didn't. He let her go. So, we should probably stop her and be concerned, like, hey, why are you coming by so late? Is something spooky happening? Or, because, you know, we could just be like, whatever, let her leave. But then that also means she's going to come back at this time tomorrow. So maybe we should, stop her concerned. Do you need that kind of concern? Not like I was like a full on like turn the like chair around like, hey bud, what's wrong? I guess that probably should have had that assumption about Arthur Hope. I mean, calling you a carriage, which I assume means that she would pay for the carriage. I don't know when you pay for carriage, if it's on delivery or on arrival. I guess those could also mean the same thing. Now that I think about it. I've never been in a carriage, believe it or not. Do you need me to call you a carriage? It's awfully rainy. Oh. That's sweet of you, but decorum isn't necessary. You don't have to act concerned for me. She smiled a little sadly, but quickly turned her back and again headed for the doorway. I'll be back soon. Good night. Disregarding his protest, she slipped from the room through the entryway and out the front door into the rainy night. She didn't even ask to borrow an umbrella. Damn it, I forgot to discuss payment too. Well, hopefully she brings enough with her tomorrow. Now I have to go get this plate ready before it dries, but after that, perhaps I'll retire early. It certainly has been an interesting night. Straight up hallucinating things. Not seeing girls in chairs that should be there. That night, Arthur Hope had strange dreams. Part 3. Phantoms. Oh, right, I need to click. I'm like, okay. Like, just assuming it'll fade out. Like, no, I need to click. This is user error on my part. A chill wind rocked the house, rapping against the walls. Or, wait, that is rapping, right? Yeah, so that is rapping. I had to just check to make sure it wasn't like a strange T, which I should know because we are seeing T's elsewhere. But yes, rapping against the wall. I know what rapping means in that context. Don't worry. Figures crept around the edges of Arthur's vision, flickering like flames, dancing like fireflies. A weight covered his entire body. He could not shift or twist his limbs. The blankets engulfing him felt like earth packed with stones. Heavy. Gold. Damn. Cold, not gold. Money on the mind. Always sticking to his grind, that Arthur Hope. Heavy, cold, damp. Something wriggled under his clothes, creeping up his neck over the side of his cheek into his eye sockets. Another crawled into his open mouth, slithered down his windpipe. He tried to scream, but not a sound came. His jaw was locked in place. His lungs were still. More writhing things engulfed him, eating at his flesh, digging between his bones. Arthur jerked violently out of bed, gasping. Cold air filled his lungs, bringing him back to the waking world. He rubbed his eyes and then struck a match and lit a candle at his bedside table. The flame danced as he lifted it, gingerly in the dark. No use trying to go back to sleep after that. Ugh, water first, then I'll head to my study and read. I mean, I don't need to read that. We all heard that creak. What? Tap, tap, tap. A noise rang out in the dark. Arthur listened, sure it must be the rain on the roof or a shutter against the windows. Tap, tap, tap. If there is a tapping sound effect, I think there might be. I can see my audio or the desktop audio and the recording going. Oh, that's because music was starting. Okay, my bad. There's the creak. But the sound was too quiet to come from outside. No, it was more like... Yeah, I can't hear that tap, but I also keep my audio very, very low because I do not like loud audio. So that could just be on my side, not hearing the tap, tap, tap. Footfalls, the creaking of a floorboard. Good gods, did someone break in while I was asleep? Quietly, Arthur reached beside his bed for the familiar weight of his uncle's cane, then carefully, cautiously stood up. A cane would be a pretty good bedside, like ye old baseball bat, essentially. Oh, I need to drag around like we're doing camera stuff to look for our intruder, wherever and whomstever they may be. But I don't see a soul. I'm not sure if clicking seems to be doing anything. We don't really have a wide area to check. Uh-oh. Okay, there was like a door I think I could open. He said, get a hold of yourself, Arthur. A burglar's nothing. You've dealt with worse. Yeah, I think there was like an open door I was supposed to proceed through. Still nothing. Ugh, this pounding in my chest. It's all thanks to that blasted dream. I'm always blaming my blasted dreams for weird situations that go on. I mean, we have 2 cats, so it's always just, the cats just did something fucking stupid, huh? And then you go out and find, like, they somehow upturned all their food bowls. I say all because there's 2. There's two food bowls for 2 cats. Hello? I know you're there. Come out. Nothing. Oh, oops. I think I can go back. Yeah, I can go back. I know you're there. Come out. Nothing. Did I imagine it? I'm sure I heard a sound. Thunk, thunk, thunk. I couldn't hear that one if there was a sound effect. The sound came again, but thicker, heavier, clunking on wooden floorboards. I can hear that creak perfectly fine, though. Arthur continued through the house, heartbeat growing faster, louder, more erratic with every step. His grip never left the hefty weight of the wooden cane. I'll teach you to never lie to me again, boy. I didn't. I swear it. Then who left it out in the rain? The book was worth more than your sorry hide. But then the cane seemed to grow heavier in his hand, then warmer, then white-hot like flame. Arthur jerked and dropped it from his hand. It landed on the floorboards with a thud. He brought his searing hand to the candlelight. It was burned straight through the bone. That's a big-ass burn, leaving ruined, melted flesh on his blackened skeleton. Fire engulfed his body. His skin melted from his flesh, crisping and charring. He let go of the candle, screaming. The tiny flame caught wood and set it alight. I've never heard the phrase caught wood to, like, you'd be like, oh, the wood caught flame, but I've never heard caught wood. It checks out. It's just I've never heard it phrased that way. Everything turned to smoke and fire and dust. Arthur tried to run, to scream again, but black smoke filled his lungs. His body felt like it was buried in earth. Hot, burning earth. Nothing was left of him now but bones and ash. The end. And then there was nothing left at all. Nothing but darkness. Bump, bump, bump. And the sound of that infernal cane. Arthur hopes remain. Okay, just hope being a word was tripping me up. Arthur Hopes remains curled up on the floor, writhing like an insect, uttering pitiable, choking cries that sputtered out into rasping gasps, not gasps. And there, as he lay on the floor in the corner of his eye, blurry, barely visible, like a photographic negative, an afterimage, a phantom. A figure stood ghostly white. Part 4. Portrait of a Ghost. Also, like, thinking about a cane, I was thinking of, like, your, like, stereotypical, like, candy cane shape wood one. Like, that would still hurt. But I guess thinking about, like, if I think about, like, a Bloodborne where, like, like some kind of, like, Victorian shit. I don't know which time periods things are. And Bloodborne isn't real. I mean, it's a real game. But, like, a big, weightier cane. Like, yeah, okay. I could see, like, something kind of like, almost like this bedpost, but, like, with a grippy bit. Arthur awoke at dawn in his bed. He lay silently, heart still racing as the faint ruby light traced his face. He breathed in, then out, slowly until his heartbeat steadied. Then he gingerly sat up and rubbed his eyes. I haven't had dreams like that since the old man. Well, not in a long time. He felt beside his bed. The familiar, terrible weight of that old wooden cane rested in the same spot as it always did. A quick look in the mirror as he dressed confirmed that his body and skin remained intact and unburned. I probably wouldn't have to look in a mirror to be like, hey, my shit burned, especially since it started with hand. Hand's an easy one to be like, oh, hand here. I can put that as close to my eye as I want. Did I mention a quick look in the mirror? sorry for the sights. A quick look in the mirror as he dressed to confirm that his body and skin remained intact and unburned, and that he was none the worse for wear, save for a dark shadow blooming around his eyes. That morning he skipped his usual perusal of the paper and crept up to his study. Unearthing a pen and ink and an old journal from his drawer instead. Familiar old handwriting and scribbles peeked out from the pages. Why am I so shaken up that I'd return to this? It's a shame no one's invented a camera that can capture dreams yet. But I suppose then there'd be no need for poets. Damn. Fucking get 'em. The hours passed by, yet Arthur found himself in such a daze that he could barely focus as he lined up shot after shot and prepared plate after plate. A strange night, old memories, a strange yet stunning girl. It was late afternoon by the time Arthur realized he'd forgotten to do what the same girl who so occupied his mind had asked of him. Damn it, it's cloudy out, but there should be enough light to get a print. Arthur carefully set the glass plate in the printing frame and secured a sheet of albumen. I've never seen the word albumen, so I'm guessing on that one. Albumen paper against it, then closed the case and set it by the windowsill. It's weird because it's like albumen paper. It's like, okay, I get. I'm assuming the paper that the actual picture gets printed onto, but the word albumen, it's like, I don't know. Pronunciation probably incorrect for me on my end. Now to let it sit. It was the last rays of. It was the last rays of. It was as the last rays of sun faded that Arthur Hope pulled the image from the frame and stared straight into the face of a corpse. What the? The negative looked fine when I put it in. Did I expose it onto the wrong plate? But none of my ghosts look like this. That girl, Edith, she must have tampered with it. But why? What does she... I'm sorry, that made me... That was stupid, I'm sorry. What does she want with me? Tap, tap, tap. A familiar rapping came at the door. She taps, but also raps. Arthur stared at the doorway with a sick feeling in his chest. He answered the door. No, of course he didn't. He ignored it. Look. Of course he would ignore it, but he's not in control right now. Curiosity killed the cat, but, satisfaction brought it back. Arthur stomped to the door and flung it open, 1,000 questions and accusations on his tongue. You have a lot to explain, Miss Harper. This isn't... Nobody was there. No girl in green satin. Not a single soul. Arthur gritted his teeth and turned away. But why are you so upset? Yeah! I mean, obviously he was more, scared than what I just did. The girl who stood in his sitting room wore no bonnet or day dress. Dirt and soil and damp, dark stains clung to her bare feet and rotted, ruined nightgown. Her skin clung to the flesh in patches, pieces of it eaten away and rotted to the bone. Her long hair was matted in thick tangles. Her eyes were gaping hollows. Someone of your profession certainly startles easily. Miss Harper? What do you want? This isn't funny. Certainly not. I'd like my photograph, please. What kind of trick is this? You're the ghost photographer, are you not? Isn't that why you agreed to take my picture? You're a ghost? You expected me to be among the living? Well, perhaps proper introductions are in order. My name is Edith Emmeline Harper. I'm guessing that's Emmeline. I died in an accident 11 years ago. I'll spare you the details, but in short, I found it rather upsetting that my body still hasn't been discovered. So when I heard about you, I decided to take matters into my own hands. You expect me to believe any of this? Is this new to you? I thought you were more of the worldly type. See for yourself, then. Edith reached out towards him. Arthur jerked back, but the girl did not flinch. She gently lifted a filthy hand to his face. Arthur waited for the feeling of rotten flesh, but the girl's skin was smooth and cold. Ice cold. Far too cold and still to be something living. Her fingers lingered there until finally Arthur grasped her hand with his own. It felt like gripping ice. The longer he held, the more his own skin grew cold, numb, and then prickled like something was crawling beneath it. That's enough. Fine. Fine! You're dead! So what does a ghost want with me, then? I want you to send that photograph to my brother. The stupid fool thinks I ran off with some man. Me? Elope? Honestly. Tell him to look for me near the old chapel where we used to play. Why don't you tell him yourself? Why haunt me? Very few people can see or hear ghosts, Mr. Hope. And of them, let's just say few murderers end up as professional photographers. Damn it, I did it. What did you say? There was only one thing in common between the people who could see or hear me, Mr. Hope. They'd all killed before. Part 5, Memento Vivere. Vivre? Pronunciation isn't my strong suit, I guess. Arlton Hope wasn't always a charlatan. He used to be a murderer, real good at it. Once he'd been a penniless young man struggling to make an honest living, and often had to supplement his income through other means. When one day a letter arrived for him from his elderly uncle, requesting his assistance around the household due to the old man's ailing health, young Art packed his few belongings and headed to what he would hope would be a welcome reunion. That hope would be quickly be the hope is quickly dashed. I never killed anyone. I didn't kill him. I didn't mean to. He had half a foot in the grave already, so I didn't... Arthur, I just wanted to scare him. He deserved that much. He treated me like dirt my entire life. And then when he called me to his sick bed, I thought maybe he'd apologize to me for just once. But no, the old man wanted to cut me out of his will. Me, his only flesh and blood. Just to spite me. He knew that I had nothing. He knew that that money was the difference between life and death, but all he wanted was to spit in my face at the end. What else could I have done? Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Look at you. You're alive, aren't you? So long as you're alive, you can change. You can claw yourself out from whatever hell you've built. It's only us ghosts who have to be stuck in the past. Yet you've been haunted all this time, haven't you? It's done. I signed it in your name, so he'll be sure to open it. Thank you. Arthur Hope carefully placed this... Damn, that's a bad fuck up. Arthur Hope carefully placed the sealed envelope into his coat pocket and dusted himself off. His possessions, most of the things that belonged to his uncle, rather, had all been stored or given away. Pale daylight filtered through the curtains onto an almost empty room. The house felt like a ghost of itself. Arthur picked up his worn leather suitcase, packed with a few belongings he'd first arrived with long ago, and checked that the envelope was still in his pocket. Then he walked down the empty hall. He stopped when he saw the familiar shape of the wooden cane resting against the wall. He briefly picked it up, feeling its weight, ran his fingers along its aged surface, then sighed and set it down again. He walked out the front door without looking back, a figure only he could see trailing behind him. What will you do? Start over. Or try to. I need time to sort out all of my messes. Time away from here. It's not like I have anything tying me to this place. I do wonder, though, if ghosts exist, why didn't the old man ever haunt me? Perhaps he had no reason to stay. Ghosts aren't eternal. They fade away just like people do. Likely I will too, is what it sounds like she wants to say. Arthur exited the post office and decided to walk to the harbor. The air was cool and damp. He carefully stepped over puddles left behind from the rain, weaving between passerby. People rushing here and there without any break in their monotone lives, but at least they were alive. What will you do? What I've done for the past decade, I suppose. Wander around, see the sights, watch my brother and my nieces. Wait until I get sick of the living world and then see what lies beyond. Say, can ghosts travel? Far away from where they died, I mean. I don't know. I can't say I've ever tried. Well, would you like to try? Arthur dropped the subject. I mean, we don't know her like that. we probably should just drop the subject. But if she's like, yeah, I could travel, like, hey, come on, let's go on an adventure. Why not? Would you like to join me? I mean, countless years without anyone to talk to sounds awfully dull. I thought you said you had enough of ghosts. Fake ghosts. Metaphorical ghosts. Not the real thing. This is new. Hard to get sick of it. Well, I suppose I'd better keep an eye on you. Who knows what trouble you'll drag yourself into. And you are far better company than some of the serial killers I've met in any case. That's horrifying. And fascinating. Tell me more. As the ship pulled away from the harbor, Arthur spotted a familiar face among the passengers on deck. Mr. Hope, is that you? Madame, what brings you here? I'm returning home to see my family. I know my dear Samuel wouldn't want me to be all by myself. But what about you? I'm doing some traveling. Oh, just a moment. You have a bit of dust on your shoulder. As the young woman's attention was diverted, Arthur deftly slipped a wad of banknotes into her pocket. I wish you all the best, madame. You as well, Mr. Hope. Take care. I assumed that she was elderly just because widow, but we said young woman, so yeah, my bad. You could be a widow at any age. You believe in yourself. Edith? The girl had stepped away to watch the sea, transfixed on the deep blue that stretched towards the horizon. The sky had cleared, and sunlight now sparkled on the crashing waves. Arthur stood beside her quietly and gazed out as the ship slowly sailed away from shore. If he were a poet, he might have tried to describe the color of the sky or the depths of the waters breaking around them. But he only sighed and felt a little sorry that his sliding box camera hadn't fit in his case. Finn. So that was really good. I really enjoyed that. I know my asides could be a little silly and maybe untimely. Oh, wait, shit, hold up. Arthur H. Hope would pass away from consumption within a decade, but only after writing a series of beloved mystery novels that featured a street-smart detective and his unusual companion, believe it or not, a ghost. He became known for his odd habits, including carrying a sliding box camera around with him and seemingly always talking to himself. His last words were supposedly a name, Edith. To his dying day, he never revealed just how he made ghosts appear in his photographs. Some believe they were simply real all along. Well, sorry, Arthur, they figured it out. Unless you started doing it with like real ghosts, like you go take a picture, like Edith, get in there, and kind of photobomb them. Then you're getting the real shit. Ending 3, Carpe Diem. So, speaking of Ending 3, this game does have 3 endings. 5,000 words, apparently. So, yeah, I really enjoyed this. I think it's clear, the way I was thinking on the choices, that it was kind of gunning towards a better, a nice end, I should say, not a better end, because, the content of the end, whether it's good or bad for the characters, doesn't make it a better or worse ending. But kind of wanted to do something nice, but I bet you can just be a real piece of shit and get a really bad ending in this game, especially, with 3 endings. So I really enjoyed this. I get why people talk about ENDYSIS. At least I've seen discussion a couple times. And they have a few games, so if you like this, there are 2 more endings. I forget exactly how many. I think they have 3 or 4 other games. There might be 3 or 4 total. And I know that there's one that they worked on with some other people. So, yeah, if you like this, there's more of it to go. And even if you just want this one, there's 2 more endings. So yeah, I was really, really impressed with this. I always like a visual novel. People give them a bad rap for some reason. I don't fucking get it, because it's like this shit's good. Some people are really good writers and come up with great concepts for stories. This is fun. I bet we could have really gotten our ass kicked by Edith, or maybe if we have like completely ignored her, you would have had to deal with Uncle or something, just spitballing other ways it could go. There's also probably, I imagine, actually now that I think about it, Uncle's probably not in the situation, so it's probably I shouldn't spitball, but probably a more neutral ending where you and Edith don't like become like BFFs, and then probably where she just murders your ass. Just guessing though. So yes, I really like this. Portrait of Ghost by ENDYSIS.